Good evening. Welcome back to Where the Owls Sleep. Slightly different from usual. Back on a Monday night, and we're going to talk all things Newcastle. He's on the screen. I was meant to bring him on. I've had a slight miss up there, but we have got Philip from Toon Tactics TV. His channel is thriving, going from strength to strength for the minute. It's fantastic to see. It's a pleasure to have him on. How is it going, my friend?
Mitch, thank you so much. Always a privilege to be here. Fantastic intro, by the way, and I'm loving the background. I can see the artwork and creativity flourish on this channel. But yeah, always a blessing to be on here. Yeah, the channel's doing really, really well, especially with inviting extinguished guests like yourself on people are coming in all the time. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to talking all things Newcastle with you. And yeah, special thank you to you always coming onto the channel, even at short notice sometimes as well. So great to be here, sir.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you on. And yeah, we've been working hard on all of the new imagery and the intros. And the thing I always test when people first come on, when the intro kicks in, do they start nodding?
Oh, okay.
People start nodding with the intro. I'm like, yes, it's a hit, and we'll take that every single day.
You got me. You got me. I'm always off beat though. I was like, oh, I'm moving off beat. I'm not a good dancer. I never moved to the beat, but I was trying my best to keep up with it. I thought it was a nice tune.
Hey, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Right, I've been looking forward to this show for a while, so let's get straight into it. All things Newcastle United. Oh, I've messed it. Wait there.
Yeah.
Didn't check it before we came on. Schoolboy error. That was me. Didn't check the cameras were in the right places, but we're good.
All good.
We're all good. Right. First place to start, pre-season. I've got these the wrong way round as well. I'm having a mare tonight. Let's do it this way round. These are the first 3 games of pre-season. Overall, how did you feel pre-season's gone? Because I'm not really someone who pays too much attention, to be honest. I look at small little things rather than taking the games as a whole as to how we're looking for the season.
Yeah. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's like you got to find I got to find the balance of what to take seriously, what not to take seriously. Essentially, I think the overall thing is, you hear Eddie Howe is, I'm trying to see what is the intention behind what they're trying to do, and obviously them getting their minutes in as well. It's a little bit like, and I learned this kind of recently. I don't know if whenever people come to see a game live, you see the players like doing target practice, for instance, and people will say, "Oh, so and so was levering it over the post and da 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 da," and like he was never getting the shot in. And what I realized when I can't remember who said it, but they said is sometimes it's not always the intention to hit the target necessarily, but it's kind of to try and learn to hit the shot in different ways to get the feel for the ball. So sometimes it's not just important to do that. So I kind of look at I'm apologize, my camera's going off, but I kind of look at pre-season in that way, where I kind of see it as would I like to get like 10 out of 10, I can't know how many games we played, but would I like to get like 10 out of 10 on shots, like on games won and stuff like that? Yes. But the main thing is, can I see what the team is doing is like going and moving in the right direction? I think generally, yes. I got to go to the Cellar Cup in a moment, and I can tell you a little bit about that later on. But I think generally there's a good direction. I think the blatant hole is we need the strikers, but then we all know all about that. So yeah, generally okay, but for sure there's work to do, for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the thing that I feel that a lot of rival fans seem to miss when they look at us in the pre-season and they give sort of slight digs at us is that they look at the games as a whole, whereas Eddie Howe is very good at playing what you'd call understrength teams at all times. So like the Celtic game, I think we only played 3 first teamers, something silly like that. Same with Arsenal. All the way through, we've only really had 4, maybe 5 outfield players on the pitch at the same time. So it's a difficult one to judge. I know Philip's gone offline, so I'm just going to keep ad-libbing until he's back. Hopefully we get him back for pretty soon and I can chuck through more questions at him. and we can get his take on what he saw at the Cellar Cup, because I'm all a little bit in the same camp as him. As when I actually go to games, I like to watch how people warm up. I like to watch what they're doing in the sessions when they're doing the drills and stuff like that, because where I've coached previously, that stuff really interests me, and I like to see how people do different things and like the different aspects of things, like what Philip was saying about the shooting. I know a few strikers that have played at a pro level, and their shooting drills before the game. We have Philip back. Good to have you back, sir.
These crazy connections.
Yeah, no, I've had the same all day today, trying to figure out how I'm going to get this working without it dipping out, because I'm not in my actual house. So,
All good, all good. So what was your
but yeah,
general
good to have you
rundown?
back. Yeah, so basically, what I was saying, I haven't taken the full games in as a whole. Like, the results don't bother me whatsoever, because
Okay.
throughout most of pre-season we've only seen 4-5 outfield players on the pitch at different times. Eddie Howe's very good at not giving away what he's trying to look at during pre-season, leading into the actual start of the Premier League. He hasn't even really played that many units together, because you see some managers will play like the defensive unit and the attacking unit in one game,
Yeah,
and then the midfield unit in another game.
yeah.
Whereas Howe has just mixed it up so much that we go into next Saturday, and I don't think anybody really knows what he's going to do from the start 100%.
Yes.
Like, most teams, you can name 6, 7, 8 of the starting players, but from looking at our preseason, if you knew nothing about Newcastle or nothing about the players really, you couldn't piece together a team, because he hasn't really played our full team at any point, or any of our, what I would call our full units, like our full defensive four. Don't think we've seen them all in the pitch at the same time. Same with the midfield, same with the attacking unit. Really, it's like it's a hard one to judge.
I agree, and a kind of a good example of that is like I went, like I said, I went to the Cellar Cup on Friday, and I saw both games on Friday and Saturday. And on Friday, for instance, on the left side we had Lewis Hall and the young Korean gentleman Su Young, and they worked
Yep.
really good, well on that half together. But kind of highlights, I don't anticipate Su Young playing against Villa, for instance, but you can see that Howe is trying different things and stuff like that, and it was a good game actually, that first one as well. So yeah, definitely Howe's mixing it up. I can't remember, I think it was Byrne and Shaw in defense, Miley and Bruno in midfield, looking quite well. Miley very neat, very very tidy, looking stronger, fitter, a little bit more aggressive as well, which he needed a little. I felt, and so on. So yeah, I agree with you. It's difficult to tell. I suspect who might start, but yeah, like you said, it's very very difficult to tell what is going to happen in terms of
Yeah,
first team that's going to start.
yeah. I'm extremely excited to see it, to be honest. Oh, look at this! I love this. Stocky, who is usual on the channel, my co-host on Sunday evenings. Fully agree. Getting the legs in, experimenting different player combinations. It's long season mini games. Yeah, 100% agree with all of that, Stocks. Thank you for the input. But yeah, I totally agree. The way he's done it, and with like the combinations of Hall and Su Young, as you said, I'm going to
Yeah.
bring him up straight away, to be honest, because he has shocked me massively. The first game we played out in Korea, when he came on, I was just like, whoa, I thought this kid was coming in as sort of like a bit of a PR stunt to sell a few shirts maybe, and then hopefully spin him for a bit of money. But for me, he looks like we're going to keep him about, and
Yes.
maybe come December, January time, he could be getting some very decent minutes.
Totally agree. I totally agree. You're looking at him. He's 18. He's obviously very much from the other side of the world, and I can see the temptation before seeing him play. Or, of course, just you know what. And the other thing is, just on a side note, is, and I know you can't. There's no use in crying over spilt milk, but we could have had Su Young and Minte on the left and on the right. How about that for future depth? But anyway, something different.
Yeah.
But yes, but you look at him, and it's not just on the ball is very clear, like in terms of just a really good talent, special talent. his cutbacks left or right, very, very aware about what's going on around him. But like watching him off the ball, especially kind of seeing him live, like he's very, and once he kind of plays more and more in the team, he's very, very conscious about making sure that he does what he's supposed to do off the ball in terms of staying in shape, getting back. Like he's always reading where everybody is. He's and kind of following that. And the reason why I say the more he used to it, he gets it, is that once it becomes more instinctive and right for him, you kind of see his even more of his play and his personality coming out, I think. Um, and 18 is 18, but I think if you're good enough, you're old enough type of thing. And he's showing that. I kind of likened him a little bit to Gordon in terms of his style, but he's a little bit better in terms of, not better. He has a different style in his dribbling, the way he does his cutbacks and what he does. And once he clicks into gear about when to do certain cutbacks and what he wants to achieve with it and how his different teammates work, it's going to be frightening for opponents as well. And like he's only going to grow, he's only going to get better. I can see why. And I don't know if you saw some of the reports saying that Newcastle are considering keeping him around, and you can see why. You're kind of like, I wanna, I want him around. I want to see
Yeah.
what can be achieved here, type of thing. I would trust him in third, fourth round FA Cup games, League Cup games. Coming on last 5-10 minutes if we're 2-3-0 up against Liverpool in the second game week and stuff like that. So yeah, I would trust him to do that. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't normally care about the early cup draws. If we get someone tough, we get someone tough. I'm now looking at it with players like him that if we get someone that's a few leagues below, it would be absolutely ideal. Not for an easy path through. It's just that he can come in. It's a little bit less pressure on him. As much as they're completely different players, I liken him slightly to Miley. And why I was so excited about Miley when he first came in, because it's not the attributes. It's not that he's got a trick. It's not that he's really good at passing. It's not that he's got a great shot. It's that his decision making.
Yeah.
And his it's like a calmness when the ball's at his feet. He never looks panicked. He never looks like a kid that's just trying to impress. He gets it. He does what he wants to do. If it comes off, it comes off. If it doesn't come off, he tries again. But he works hard, and he just seems to know exactly what he wants to do when he gets it, and he just gives it a go. And there seems to be a maturity about him while he's doing that, and that really impresses me with him, to be fair. Considering he's not even come from like the Korean top league. He was in the Korean second division, which is bonkers to me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But he has what he has. And I can see the comparisons in terms of Miley as well. And it's good to see that our recruitment and our scouting is paying off. And you're right, it's not just a marketing stunt. It's far from it. Like this boy's got the ingredients. And I think we always say that if a player gives himself to How in terms of just teach me the game, that kind of thing, and this is me, which I think Su Young probably has in DNA to do. The possibilities for him are really, really endless. I think.
Yeah,
I think
especially 100%. And he's like, without blowing our own trumpet, he's probably at one of the better clubs to do it, because Eddie Howe's track record, I don't know much of it from Bournemouth, but from us bringing on young talent, your Lewis Halls, the way he went about Tino Livramento. We was all calling for Lewis Hall, not last season, the season before. He kept him out. When he came in, fantastic. Same as last season, we're calling for Lewis Miley after the season before. He played loads of games in the Champions League. I really feel this season when we see him, like even in pre-season, people are like, okay, we're now seeing a really big player. Whereas I'd seen Newcastle fans previously saying, well, all he does is pass it 5-10 yards and stuff like that. And he looks like he's coming out of his shell a bit now, which is really, really good to see.
Absolutely.
So you was at the Cellar Cup. I'm going to roll back to this one. Did you go both games? Yeah. So Espanyol and Atletico.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what were your thoughts of the Espanyol game?
So the Espanyol game was a lot more dominant in that game. Very dominant in that game. Obviously, it did end up being 2-2, and to be fair, Espanyol gave as good as they got. but I think overall we're a dominant team. So obviously it finished 2-2, but I think in possession, our overall physical presence of Bruno and Miley in midfield really good. Burn and Shaw looked okay, looked good, looked pretty good as well. Sharp. Good to see Lewis Hall at least getting 45 minutes in. I was really happy to see that. You can see that there's a very conscious effort in terms of the team. They've got a plan. They really got a plan and an intention about what they're trying to do, and they're just trying to do it. It kind of goes back to what we were saying about why you kind of pay attention to results and not pay attention to results. Because I just had this overall feeling of they're trying something, they're trying to do something. That they seem very conscious about doing a particular start pattern of play. Like when Lewis Hall got the ball, he was like, you can see that him and Su Young were trying to do something, which was kind of paying off. They were getting up the field and stuff like that. They were very conscious about it. And we were dominant. I forgot who was on our right. Who was on our right? It was somebody.
Would have been Murphy against Espanyol, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Murphy had a good game as well, doing Murphy things. He looked sharp, looked good again. And I took my mate with me. He's an Arsenal fan. Like, bless him. He's been with me, like, going to these games since we had Rafa Benitez and stuff like that. So he's done well. And
you all need a friend like that.
Yeah, all need a friend like that, honestly. And I keep thinking about Sola. So the running power, the determination is there. He's not ready though to start, I think. Or I don't know how we're planning to use him. But certainly that first game, the most impressive people were Miley, Bruno, just smashing it all the time, honestly. But in terms of like outside of Bruno, Miley, and Lewis Hall were probably the more impressive for me. Su Young as well, obviously. They were good. The second game against Atletico Madrid, man, I took a couple veterans, but yeah, with me. But they both said that first half against Atletico Madrid, like, they were so impressed, like, by both teams. The intensity of the game was phenomenal. Like, seeing it live, like how they were playing, both teams, like, off the ball, on the ball, no time in the midfield. They were both working, like, they were both so intense that they made the pitch small in terms of how they played. Like, no one had any time. Like, the technical gift from both sides, from Atletico, from Newcastle, we were both doing in the first half, and you can see that it was like an intense game of chess in terms of, like, if you slip up, you make one mistake, it's over for you, type of thing. And Botman, who obviously came off in the second half, for me, the moment he came off, I think that was the key for me. That's what opened the floodgates, because he's so good at reading the play and plugging the gaps in the background. Because you saw that obviously they being Atletico won mainly through counter attacks, and they were attacking through Alex Murphy's side. God bless him. He's young, isn't he? But when Botman was there, he was plugging that, but also on the ball. He's so fearless in his passing that they were doing, and you would have seen this obviously against Spurs. Like, Newcastle seems to be very intent on being, like, very direct through passing through the lines centrally. And there's a risk with that, obviously, because if the team gets the ball, then you got 4 or 5 guys breaking on you. But if it works, and when it works, you become very, very dangerous going the other way. And over time, the more successful you are, you can see that other team dropping back a lot more quicker. So I can see us doing that. So that's what kind of impressed me. But that first half, if you're watching it, you're thinking it's going to be. But the mystery, like with Botman, and I'll end it on this, is he came off in the first half, but during the interval, that 15 minutes, he didn't go into the change rooms. He was doing shuttle runs for that whole first half. So he didn't rest. So the whole shuttle run was just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And obviously he didn't come in the second half. And my mate was saying, like, what's going on with him? Is he injured? He didn't look injured. He wasn't looking hobbling. But I'm kind of going back to what you said earlier about Eddie Howe keeping his cards close to his chest. Like, now people don't really know, is he fit or not? And he is fit. He wasn't hobbling around, but I did think it was cute. I didn't understand. I'm not no physio what the thinking behind was, but maybe for the Villa game. But despite, obviously, I just want to end on this, like, obviously Burn being incredible, Botman is just different gravy. He
Yep.
really, really, really is. He's absolutely different gravy. So hopefully he's fit for Villa.
Yeah, totally agree. I think Botman being fit for the majority of this season could be make or break for us. I don't think fans outside of people who are either Newcastle fans who have watched it or who have watched us a massive amount understand how good this guy really is.
Yeah.
For everything you've just said, he's a front foot defender. He can pass through the lines. He's got long passing off both feet. He will draw the press so far up, like literally hold it until the player's about a yard away from him and then pick a pass out. He's exceptional. And
Honestly.
I really hope that what we've seen over preseason, because it's worried me, he's had his strapping on. He's only really played 45 minutes a game. But I noticed the shuttles a bit at half time as well and was like I said on your show previously about the Isak thing, I asked a friend who's a physio and I said, why would they do that? And they're like, well, they're trying to put the distance in his legs still. So the distance they want him to run per half, they're trying to make him just run it in 15 minutes of half time without him having to play the second
Yes.
half.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then they're trying to see the reaction in the knee. That's normally why it's done.
That made sense. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. He was finished after that. Like, like sheesh, bro.
Yeah.
I forgot
But
one
that
thing.
is it. That's
Yeah.
the plan behind it. So they do that, and then the next day they'll scan it. They'll check his knee. If there's no swelling in his knee, they'll say, right, next weekend, 60 minutes on the field, and then we build from there. So hopefully, Villa restarts. He gets an hour. We can win the game in the first hour, hopefully, and then
He's honestly,
get him off and close the game out.
maybe I don't think I'm over egging it. That first half was incredible from both teams, but Botman was absolute. And maybe someone could argue, but what if Tonali came off, and another youngster came in? Yeah, possibly. But then that that would have. It was when came off. That's what the dynamic of it changed, because what they started doing was, let's stop playing through the midfield. We're not getting through. Let's just put Alvarez and the other guy up against Murphy as quickly as possible. The other
Yeah.
gentleman I forgot to mention was Ramsdale, because Ramsdale
Yes.
played in Espanyol, and I thought he's going to be our first team keeper. He's so comfortable on the ball. He was chesting it. It was coming at him at pace. No problems. And you can also see the body language of of our players, which is they're fairly calm and confident when he has it. And so what that means is they stop obviously dropping back and creating gaps. They just expect Ramsdale to do what he's supposed to do, which has become almost like the 12th man the 11th man on the outfield, and doing that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And it made Espanyol hesitate in the press as well. It's no point type of thing, because he's that comfortable with it. Under pressure, chests it, gets it down his leg, move it. Keeps it really, really simple. And to be fair, look, Paul wasn't obviously too bad on that, but you can just, this is why Ramsdale was here. And I think you're going to see that change as well.
Yeah, totally agree on that. And like even what you were saying on the players around him being calm, you're actually seeing when the ball's rolling back to the goalie, the centre back splitting, being ready for a pass. Whereas when you roll it back to Pope, they all just sort of watch him, make sure he's not going to make a mistake, and as soon as he kicks it, turns and goes. They're not bothering doing the 20, 30 yards towards their own goal to make a little bit more space.
Absolutely.
And that also rolls back into your earlier point of where we play through the middle quite a lot. If Ramsdale's got the ball at his feet and we can't get it into Botman, they will split, which opens the space through the middle, and they will try and hit the midfielder. They'll try and hit the front man, which is why it's key, I feel, that we get a front man that can hold it up, because I think Osler will be really good. I think he's got good striking. Once he's got the ball down, he's good, but his back to goal stuff just isn't great. Is too much. Like, he has to take 3 or 4 touches to fully get it under control, and at the minute he needs to play off someone or play wide until he grows fully into the game as a proper number 9. But I feel Ramsdale's transformative for us, because Pope had a moment in the Atletico game, it rolled to him quite slowly and he nearly fell over. And it was just like,
Yes.
I can't go
Yes.
through another season of these heart attacks,
Yes.
man.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the whole crowd responded to that as well.
Yeah.
And like you can tell that he knows, and we all know,
Mm.
but we love him anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because he's made so many great saves that it's just like you can't really dig him out. We all know he's rubbish with his feet, but it would be nice not to give a throw in away every time it goes back to him. And it just feels, I feel there's a few goalies in the league that are in a position of the managers are waiting for that one mistake to justify it, and then they're
Yeah,
out, and
and
the new guy's coming in.
absolutely, and it changes the game dynamics so much. Like especially watching it live, because if they know that the keeper isn't that good, if they know like the centre back, obviously Botman came off, they just go way more aggressive in terms of just getting the ball up there. Because our midfield, from our midfield to our attack, in terms of our press off the ball, especially, is superb. I almost feel like anybody kind of we play is really really superb. And so teams are like, oh, forget this, trying to play through the middle stuff for these guys. It's not going to work very well for us. And so if you got a goalkeeper that isn't the greatest in terms of on the ball, if there's one change to the centre back pairing, it's a bit downhill from there. So that's why I think Botman's going to be key. Malik Chow when he comes in, we all already know that Eddie's going to take his time with Malik Chow and like he does with every player. But yeah, I think that's what that's what teams are going to be banking on essentially when they play against
Yeah.
us.
But don't you feel like the three signings we've made? So it's Chow is
Yeah,
having his medical now, so I'm going to count that as done. Ramsdale and Elanga, they probably will potentially replace three of what would be press triggers for other sides. Because the ball goes back to Pope, they press up, they trigger. Everybody goes, he's going to give us the ball back. They used to do a similar thing with Dan Burn. I'm going to say this. I feel it used to be that way with Dan Burn. I think he looks miles better on the ball over the last 6 to 8 months or so.
yeah,
But then Jacob Murphy has always been the same. If we roll the ball into his feet back to goal, his left back or the centre midfielder that's closest to him always tries to put a foot in because he does give the ball away quite a lot in those situations. And I feel like the three signings we've made could remove all three of those press triggers instantly, which makes us much harder to play against.
yeah. Fully agree. Certainly, something with Ramsdale. Certainly, something with Botman. Botman almost doesn't care. Like even when they come
Yeah.
to almost like when they come to if he doesn't see a pass, he'll hold on to it and you wait for the guy to come. He'll hold them off, continue to look up while he's holding them off. I'm like, this guy's insane, but he's that comfortable with it. I haven't actually seen Botman and Ramsdale together, which I think is intentional, obviously from Hal. That's going to be interesting. And then with Elanga, I didn't mention him as well. He was, especially in that first half against Atletico, I thought he was good as well. He really is able to go left or right, inside or outside, and his pace and that really frightens that really frightens the defenders. They had to double up on him, which is going to create space for a number 9. that's the annoying thing because of what he's able to do and stuff like that. Like he was really, really, really good. Like he settled into the squad like really, really quick. So yes. So overall, they do definitely change the press triggers of for oppositions going up against us. Absolutely.
Here he is, the main man, Ginny Wijnaldum. Good to
Big up
see you
Iniesta.
again, sir. Always a pleasure to have you in there. Yeah, totally agree with all of that. And we'll get onto him, Elanga. I think he brings such a different aspect to us. His pace is frightening. Like you say, he goes left and right. I don't feel like his delivery's been on point since he joined, but I just feel that's something that will come. He took set pieces at Nottingham Forest. I'm not too worried about it. And once we get that settled front three, I genuinely feel going forward, we're going to be frightening on a transition, whether we've got the ball down and we're playing. I think any way we're trying to beat teams, our attacking lineup is starting to look pretty devastating.
I think, and I'm sure we're going to get onto him, if Isak's on the pitch, Elanga's deliveries look a whole lot more better because he's either on it or he's drawing players to him to create space for other players, for the box crusher number eights and everything else to get on it as well. Usola doesn't carry that kind of vibe, for instance. Gordon, really good, really busy. He got himself out and about, but he's not a number 9 in that vein. And so sometimes you just have to have the look of being frightening. And then it kind of changes the dynamics of the game, because like even Joe Linton in that first half had like 3 or 4 headers or something like that against Atletico, and
Yeah.
had one of them gone in, for instance, it would have changed the dynamic of the game again as well. And so, yeah, I think we need that last piece of the puzzle to in our front line, and I think we're good to go.
Yeah, I think we're so close to having not even just a really good starting 11, a good 14, 15, maybe even 16 that's going to carry us so much further into the season on top form than last time we was in the Champions League. And I'm very much looking forward to it. We said we'd talk about it. I've created the image like this because I kind of want to know what camp you're in, because I feel like the fan base is a little bit split on this. I've seen some fans that say it on the left that Isak is a bit of a snake for what he's done. Some fans still hold him as highly as they do, like the Angel of the North. He's still the jewel of the crown and will happily welcome back. Where do you sit with this at the minute with the Alexander Isak thing?
As it stands now, type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this moment.
I think I just have a real kind of and I talked about it on my show a number of times. I kind of have a practical view of it. So, my first kind of situation is he's 24, 25 years old. So I kind of was more. My main thing was like I was more. When I say understanding, I was understanding that he never had this level of spotlight in his life before. Everybody telling him he's like the top 5, top 3 strikers in Europe right now, even better than Haaland. He's even better than Haaland. And, the likes of Liverpool, current Premier League champions who are trying to build a dynasty, are really hot on his heels and stuff like that. He's never had this level of spotlight before. And so, and the pressure I can imagine from intermediaries, from his agents and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, yeah, he's made the wrong action in terms of everything that he's done. But he will, I'll give him time and learn from it. Where I've become a lot more critical of him, I did it in my last show, is when he's become critical of the club or what people are saying in terms of, we heard this from his camp, essentially. So like the likes of Melissa Reddy, former Sky Sports presenter, even Fabrizio Romano, essentially alluding, well, Miss Reddy was a lot more straightforward with it in terms of, you can see what's happened to Newcastle's transfer window. His ambitions don't align with theirs. Like kind of like down talking the club and everything like that. And that's when I've got a problem with it. And I think when that starts to happen, and which has happened, that's when I'm against any player. I don't care who it is in terms of that does that. And he needs to either shut it down or just essentially just shut it down and stop doing that kind of stuff. So probably more on the left, but I'm also very open to, should he stay, obviously, just, go and do your job, be the best number 9 possible, get us 20 goals a season, help us to consolidate our position. Because, I'll end it in terms of just saying, our rivals, even Man United now, you can see Tottenham to an extent and others have strengthened, but they don't have an Isak. Man City got Haaland, and we've got an Isak, and that could be the difference between Champions League or not Champions League. And so I'm willing to kind of just override this and just to get on with it, type of thing. But he just needs to shut down the whole talk about ambition in a club like that. He knows he should know better than that type of situation.
Yeah, 100%. I think the only thing I disagree, and I'm very much on the fence on this. I don't often sit on the fence. I've normally got an opinion either way, and I will stick to it until it's proved wrong. But I just can't figure out where all of this has come from. So I don't want to be too quick to go either way and be like, yeah, he's a snake for doing this and doing that. And then a few weeks or months down the line, something happens. Maybe he gets a new agent and he goes, actually, I was advised wrong. I apologize.
Yeah,
Or it
yeah.
goes the other way where he goes, actually, yeah, I really wanted to leave. It was all me. When he does eventually get a move, say 18 months down the line, he comes out and does an interview where he agrees it was all him. It was all down on him. And it is, yeah, well, then he's a snake. But at the minute, I can't figure out who's to blame here. Like, his head's turned by Liverpool. I get it. Maybe his agents put it in his ear he could get 300 grand a week at Liverpool. The maximum Newcastle can offer him is 180, 190, 200, something like that. As you say, at 24, 25, you would be crazy not to explore getting a third extra money elsewhere, regardless of what field of work you're in. So I do kind of get it. But the key now is for him, which I feel potentially Leeds might be the first time we see him if he stays. If not, after the international break, his attitude once he hits the pitch. If he presses with the team, if he does his running, if he's not throwing strops over silly things and he looks like he wants to be part of this side, that'll make the difference. It's not even the goals, because any striker can score goals when you're that good. He has to still be putting the effort in. If he comes back on the pitch in the shirt and he puts the effort in, I think it will very quickly be forgotten, and it will be like, not fully forgotten, but it'll be like, okay, this guy's going to put the work in, regardless if he still wants to leave next summer. If he's going to work to his maximum and do everything he can to make us win for this full season, the fans will accept that. But he then needs to leave in a better way next summer. None of this behind the back stuff, trying to engineer a way out. He's just got to be like, right, I want to leave. And Newcastle turn around and say, this is the fee we need. If someone offers that fee, you can go, but don't throw your toys out the pram. Don't miss training. Don't miss tours. Just be a Newcastle player till we get what we need to sell you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's going to be key for him this season, yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's a question from Giniesta. Do we think he will still be a Newcastle player when the window shuts, which I believe is September 3rd this year?
First is first.
Don't think it's the first. Is it the first?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was the third. Well, that's a couple of days extra I don't have to worry about. So that's good for me.
Yeah.
But I'll let you go first on that one. What do you think on that?
I think it's on a knife edge. I was reading Mark Douglas's article on our newspaper. I think it's and he kind of was also on the same line as where Ben Jacobs was saying a few weeks ago. I think it's a knife edge is 50-50. I think it's a lot more practical, i.e., if Newcastle find two quality strikers and we get 150 million, it probably happens. I think if we got Ekatike, he would, for instance, Isak will there's a very high likelihood that Isak would have been a Liverpool player by now. Obviously, Ekatike didn't happen. If Benjamin Sesko happened, again, similar story, because we would have got a Wissa coming in or whatever coming in. And I think, yeah, that would have happened. The problem now is, and I think what Keith Downey was saying today, and I agree with it, is there is no Benjamin Sesko and there is no Ekatike. The quality is a lot lower. I really like, for instance, Nicholas Jackson, but he's not. He's a supporting striker at best. He's not a number 9 that we need. And Newcastle and Eddie Howe know that. I'm a little bit nervous because in this final stages, like I hope they don't go with that. If they get Wissa coming in, are they going to be looking at Nicholas Jackson thinking, maybe I really hope. I really hope not, because we could come out of this window with a far stronger front line with Isak, Gordon, and Elanga, and in support, a Wissa who's the other one? Wissa, Barnes, and Murphy. Now we look a
Yes.
lot more better. Um, there's also the outside possibility that we still get Wissa and Jackson. Possibly, I was thinking about it today. It's slightly different from the question, but perhaps even sell Barnes. Some people might not be up for that, but watching Barnes in the Atletico Madrid game, like working on my friend's an Arsenal player, there's a lot to like about Barnes. But he doesn't run. He doesn't have. I don't know whether it's the confidence or the pace to run into the space like a Gordon does or Elanga does, and kind of make that final third difference. Where I think someone like Jackson would. But anyway, that's a side question. But yeah, essentially, I think it's in the knife edge. Obviously, we're looking at Samuel Omorodian. I don't know how much you know about him, Mitch. I had to do a number of
Bits and
research.
bobs, yeah,
Yeah,
bits and bobs.
I haven't seen him live, for instance. I've been reading a lot of scouting reports. He's kind of viewed almost in the same vein as a Benjamin Sesko in terms of like, tier one prospect, i.e. type of stuff. Different profile of player, how they go about their business, but the same thing. And there was this, sorry, this is like a long-winded answer, but I'm kind of all piecing it together as I'm talking to you is, I don't know if you saw that post from Ornstein where he just said, Newcastle are considering moving, like as a very like, in turn, they're considering moving for Samuel Morodian. And usually when Ornstein kind of posts stuff like that, he kind of posts whatever's happening. It's not just in this deal, but whatever is happening, it's a little bit further down the line. But he's been cautious about it. And you've got a little bit more material to give over type of. Don't just say, oh, they're right at this point. Otherwise, you miss all the
Yep.
stuff at the beginning type of thing. Where then it's got me thinking, are they thinking about Samuel Morodian and a Wissa and then move on an Isak? So yeah,
That would
50.
worry me, to be honest.
It would.
That would worry me.
It would worry me too. It would worry me too. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it at the moment.
I feel I'm in a similar camp with the strikers. I feel that Jackson and Wissa are both sort of backup strikers. They're not Champions League start week in, week out strikers for them level of teams for me. They need someone else to bounce off that's the main guy for the goals. They can play with them, they can play just off them, they can come in and be the rotation in sort of like your bottom half of the Premier League, your early cup game, stuff like that. Great for that. I would not want them as a starting striker going into a Premier League. I mean, going into a Champions League chasing and in the Champions League side for me. And as much as I don't know loads about Samu at all, and with the Dennis Wise scouting, even the goals he scores look scatty. Like it sort of bobbles over the keeper and bounces through his body, and like he doesn't scream clinical frontman. And at the minute, if we lose an Isak, we're losing a clinical frontman.
Yeah.
We need a guy that's going to put the ball in the net. That's what we're missing as a side. If he hasn't got all the other stuff and he just puts the ball in the net, I would much prefer that than someone who comes in, who's got all the other attributes, but then doesn't put the ball in the net. Because we can work around that and build up the rest of his play while he's still scoring goals. If we're not scoring goals as a team, we're not going to do very well next season. Because I don't think Gordon, he's shown great player, but still not massively clinical. If we could merge Gordon and Barnes, we'd have one of the best left wingers in the world. And then we've still yet to see how clinical Elanga is going to be for us. So it's a tough place to be for us. So I feel, to answer Ginny's question, as much as we've probably talked for about 10 minutes since he's asked it, that I feel he's going to stay. I've always felt he was going to stay.
You have. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
And my reasoning made a lot less sense when I first said it. But now I feel we're at a point that we've missed the player we needed to let him go. Well, both of them. We've missed both the players we needed. Yeah. Like, as we saw in the first 20 minutes of the Charity Shield, that is exactly why a Katike coming in would have allowed us to let Isak go, because he's got that bit of magic about him now.
Mm-hmm.
And even when he's not on the Magic, he's still a problem. And I think that Benjamin Sesko's in a very similar bracket to that. I don't feel the rest of these guys that we're linked with are anywhere near that bracket whatsoever. And it would worry me going into a season, especially if it's Jackson and Wissa, because come January, we're going to have neither of them because it's an AFCON year and they're both going to be off to the AFCON.
Or
and
last.
I don't think we're that silly. I actually quite like the Larson link, I'd be quite interested in that. But again, I wouldn't want him to be our every week striker.
Yeah.
But like his movement and his finishing, he screams that at some point he's going to become very clinical. And I like him. I really like Larson.
He's 25 though. So not that he's open, but he's going to the point of at some point he's going to become clinical. Like he's 25. At the same time, he just played for Wolves, right? So does that then translate if he plays for Newcastle? He becomes a lot more clinical because he'll have a lot more opportunities. And you're right about his movement; it's superb. The thing about Larson is though he's more like at the end of someone's shoulder type of striker rather than kind of creating things from deep type of thing. I would prefer the combo of a Jackson Larson than I would of a Wissa Larson. I just think Jackson's a better player to Wissa, although he's not more clinical than Wissa, in my opinion. And I think they're kind of different profiles. So if we're gonna, because the go on.
No, go on. I was just going to say, I think Jackson. I mean, Larson, Wissa would mean we then haven't really got a proper project striker out of the two. Because obviously Wissa's 29, so he's not a project striker.
No.
I didn't realize Larson was 24, 25.
Yeah, 25.
So he's kind of just out of the bracket of someone you'd sign as a project striker. He's someone that he'd come in and you tweak, and his ceiling could be slightly higher than where he is now, but it's not going to go massively beyond where he already is.
Yeah, he got fit. Someone I'm sure in chat will be able to, but it's got like last year, like 15 goals, something like that, 3 or 4 assists. So it's not bad. And look, to replace Isak, you can possibly replace the goal involvements. So if you get a Larson Wissa, obviously Wissa got 19 goals last season. Okay, cool. So kind of combine it. You probably can do that if they repeat their kind of performances of last year. But Isak is so important to. It's funny because, and this is annoying because the way we set up with our inside forwards on the left and the right, and our midfielder pushes up, it suits a complete striker, i.e. Isak, i.e. Benjamin Sesko, i.e. Ekitike. Whereas Larson is good at the movement and off the ball running, but he's not as good, obviously, in the dribbling aspect, kind of dropping in deep and causing a nuisance. Wissa is good with his feet, but not that good where he could cause the same damage as for instance, as a Nicholas Jackson can in terms of linking up play. That's not really his thing. That was Mbeumo's thing when they played at Brentford. Jackson's very good at linking up play and putting the team together. He's not very good at finishing. So all of them got like the key aspects that we need and key aspects that we need they have, but then they also have key aspects to their game they don't have. And so it will end up being like fitting square pegs in round holes. So I just hope, and this is again another sliding doors moment for Newcastle United, this transfer window, goodness gracious me. Keeping Isak, whether he wants to be here or not, it's going to be so important for us. So yeah. So to answer again Genius's question, for me it's 50-50. I know for you, Mitch, you're a lot more like you've always been consistent with, is that he's staying. But remind me, Mitch, so why do you think he's staying?
So originally, when all of this came out, everything smacked of a contract power play for me. Okay. Because there was my point when you and God, my man just got Bobby. Me, you, and Bobby were talking about it. You were talking me off the edge of the cliff.
Yeah.
And in my head, where there was like everything they were saying seemed like it was an opinion piece. There wasn't any quotes from anywhere. There wasn't any quotes from Isak, agent, Newcastle, Liverpool, anybody quoted in any article saying anything about him leaving. And all of the negative stuff about him leaving was followed up by a direct quote from someone at Newcastle saying he wasn't leaving. And it was like, this just feels like a contract power play. But now the more it's gone on, my mind's changed ever so slightly. I still don't think he's going to leave. I now think it's just been a way to put a cat amongst the pigeons for us. They don't like what we're doing. They don't like how we're moving. They don't like how close we're getting. And it's a disruption tactic. Yes, Isak probably does want his move to Liverpool, but I don't think it is as extreme as the media are making out.
Okay.
He's been left out of the tour. Yes, I get that. All of that is fact. He didn't go on the tour. For whatever reason, he didn't go on the tour. It is what it is. If it is because he wanted his move to Liverpool, it's fine. But I don't think he's fully toys out of the pram. I think there's a way to integrate him back in the team after the first international break, which I believe game week 5 or 6 after that game week, quite early in the season. I think he will be integrated back in at that point. But I genuinely feel Liverpool chanced their hand at it, but used it more as a, if we don't get him and we don't get him for the money we want him for, we're just going to disrupt Newcastle and try and stop them from doing what they're doing.
Okay.
So, yeah, I fully thought by now Isak would have signed a new contract and it all would have been done, dusted. He would have been back. He would have played one of the Cellar Cup games and then potentially played a bit of game time at Villa. But it's gone on it's worse than I thought it was on that respect. But I don't think he's fully toys out the pram. I'm never playing for Newcastle again.
Yeah.
So it's tough, though. It's a tough one to be in. Sorry, Giniesta, I missed this before, but I do fully agree. Barnes does struggle against the deep blocks. And here's one-on-one. At times, he can look really good because he's got that little jinky move he does, finds half a yard for a shot or a cross. But, yeah, he does rely on other players' movement to
he relies on
really effective.
He relies on the fullbacks. Yeah. If there's like I said, if there's an ideal, amazing way I'd love for this window to end is obviously we keep Isak, we do sell Barnes, we get Jackson. What's interesting, I wanted to get your view on it, is that, and I'll ask it in a moment, we do get Jackson, we do get Wissa still, and we keep Isak. Now that would be a heck of an upgrade, I'll tell you that. Because Jackson would be a threat to Gordon on that left if Gordon doesn't. I think Gordon has going to have a great season, but I think Jackson can threaten that. He can play in the 2, supporting striker, and I think he'll almost be relieved to have an Isak in front of him because that kind of pressure of having to score a goal is a bit too much for him. I think he'll thrive in that, either being a supporting striker as well. So there's plenty of room for him to play, and I think he can play on the right as well. I can't remember where he played for Villarreal, but I know that he was left wing. I think he was left wing for Villarreal. But he can play on the right.
Yeah, he did. Well. He played on the left.
Right. So there's plenty of places there, but again, the depth is a lot more better. And we sell Barnes. I heard it floated again that the report that we know, Telegraph report, which is Nick Jackson said, "I want Newcastle." By the way, no rival fans are kind of are promoting that anymore because it doesn't fit the whole Newcastle get rejected by everyone. Because just the other day he was being linked to Bayern Munich and Juventus, and everybody was laughing their heads off. But he said, "No, I want to play for Newcastle." But no one's. That's not catching news.
Yeah, that's not a good story. Same with Malik Thiaw. He's come to us from AC Milan. Other clubs have been involved, but no one wants to hear it.
No, nobody wants to hear that story. Nobody wants to hear that story. So, and that kind of leads me on to the Jackson to ask you as well. There's two things. Was obviously the Telegraph saying that he said he's told his agent want to go to Newcastle. Okay, great. And I heard it floated about that he'll go. It'll be a loan to Newcastle with an option to buy. And what a secret part of me would love. I think there's a 5% chance of this. Is why I think we can still get all 3, which is Jackson, Wissa, and keep Isak. If it's an option to buy and we don't have to pay for it now, financially it makes sense for us. and it makes sense for a Jackson type of thing. And Chelsea, we have a very good relationship with Chelsea. We did the same kind of deal with Tino, Livramento, and Hall. Actually, we didn't pay outright. I think we had options to buy for both of them. I feel no, we had obligation to buy for both of them. Obviously, with Jackson, it's an option to buy. So financially, it makes sense for us, and we did it with Ramsdale. We'll still got that Trafford money as well because we didn't spend the 30-40 mil that they wanted. So my question to you kind of is around the Jackson, which is why would this information about Jackson choosing Newcastle come out now when, again, Wissa feels like the way people are talking about it is almost inevitable? Like, what do you think is happening? Like, is it still Wissa or is it Jackson? Is it both? And keep Isak? Because it makes no sense to have both type of thing.
I think it's got to the point where we was looking at Wissa being the one with one of the big name strikers we were looking at.
Yeah.
And then everything that's gone on at Chelsea, we've got a sniff that Jackson's potentially available. And I feel Jackson suits us and the way Eddie Howe plays more than Wissa does for me.
Yeah.
Because it's age, he might be more money, but I feel like his ceiling is rolling back to this question from Northern MDX. Welcome. I haven't seen you in here before, so thank you for coming on, and also welcome again, Liam knows. Thanks for coming back. I feel that Jackson's ceiling is very, very high.
Yes,
because his build-up play, his work on the ball, his work off the ball, everything he does outside putting the ball in there is very, very good. Even his decision making most of the time is very good.
Yeah.
It's the execution of that final bit. And like we have said on this show, when we've been on other shows on your channel, Eddie Howe, developing players and making them little tweaks, is one of the best at it in the Premier League as a coach. And if he can get that extra 25% out of him potentially in his finishing, I think Jackson's ceiling is very, very, very high.
And I think also the love that he'll receive from the Toon fans, I think it would really be something that he hasn't experienced for a while. I think he needs that. My only fear is I just don't want it to be at the expense of Isak. And I agree with you. So you when you say, are you saying? So are you kind of sense when you're saying Jackson's more of a Newcastle player than Wissa is?
I would say he is.
Are you kind of sensing that it's going to be either Jackson or Wissa, right? So. What are you kind of sensing that when Newcastle have a choice between the two, that they're going to go for Jackson type of thing? Because Brentford, because Brentford are still looking for that replacement. Callum Wendo's like that's the thing. That's I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know.
I think it will be, if we got the choice out of the two, it would be Jackson. I feel if it was put on the table to us that we're paying, well, as you say, it could be a loan with an option. If we were given that or Wissa for the 30, 40, whatever Brentford want, I think we go Jackson, because it's also a try before you buy type thing. And I think we'd be crazy not to, even if we're giving them, say, single digits in a loan fee, whatever the single digit is, £1 million worth in a loan fee. I would take the gamble, because if Eddie Howe works with him for 12 months and feels like, actually, this guy, I can make this guy special. And he's got all of that potential to be very, very special. Whereas Wissa, we're seeing the ceiling, or we might have seen it. Last season might have literally have been his ceiling. There might be nothing else he can give.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't, like, I wouldn't be against the signing. I said on one of the forums the other day, it could be potentially as impactful as when we got Craig Bellamy all them years ago. Like, it gives you a different aspect with the pace, the relentless running and stuff like that. It could be that, but it's only going to be that for 2 or 3 years. Whereas Bellamy came in at 21, 22 and had an impact for a longer time. But I just feel like Jackson fits better. We're building a very young squad. Wissa doesn't really come in as like a captain sort of father figure, so I don't see the point of him being one of the older ones or anything like that. Jackson just seems to fit on so many more different levels.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But I am very, very, very interested to see where we end up. If we keep Isak and get either one of them two, I believe we've done very good business, and we're very close to what I would call a fantastic window. I'm not sure many Newcastle fans would 100% agree with it, but I think we're closing in on what could actually be. Say, the way I look at it, yeah, with everything that's gone on, with not winning a game in pre-season, with all of the noise around this app, it feels like it's been a terrible summer. But if at the end of the season, last game of the season, the lights go off at St James's Park last day, and someone said to you, you're going to sign Anthony Elanga, you're going to sign Aaron Ramsdale, you're going to sign Malik Tiao, you're going to sign, say, let's just go with Johan Wissa, and you're going to sign El Canoes, and no one major is going to leave. That's how you roll into the next season. Are you happy? What do you rate that window at that point? Most Newcastle fans go 8-9, I think. But why is that not an 8-9 window? Because Isak's potentially going to miss the first 4 games of this season. That's my viewpoint on it. He's still here. And if he's going to put the effort in when he's back in the team, it's still an 8-9 window for me. We're much stronger first. We're stronger in the first team, much stronger off the bench. So I'd see that as being a bit of a success personally.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Would you agree on that, or would you have a different view?
I've been thinking about it as well. It's a great way of putting it forward. Ramsdale, yes. Malik Chow, yes. Goalkeeper, right centre back situation we've wanted to solve for ages. You know, our final centre back lineup is there finally, which is obviously Hall, Botman, Malik Chow, excuse me, and Livramento. That's it. And the depth in terms is okay. Kieran Trippier goes might get sold. We'll see how that goes. But also in terms of our selling has been decent as well. For me, I think to cut all of that, I think the cherry on top of what you just said would be, and I kind of more felt it talking to you about it is, and people might think I've been trying to sell Barnes since the beginning of last year, but it makes sense. I think we're going beyond Barnes a little bit in terms of how we're playing, which is harsh to say considering all that he's done last year. But I think if we sell Barnes and we bring in Jackson, bring in Wissa, and keep Isak, I think that it's a very, very, very good window. It's a very good front line, especially, and gives us the versatility that we need. I think also it puts us in a very healthy position in terms of PSR. We have to think about those things. Going forward, I think that would be the only kind of change I would make to what you're saying, or a Joe Willock. If we were to sell Joe Willock and get another centre forward with El Canoes, because you're right, El Canoes will provide us that offensive impact from the midfield. But I think if we sold the Joe Willock and bought an Edison or Edison profile player, maybe a young player that could become an Edison, well, we're laughing, aren't we? So, yeah, I'm not asking for the world. Well, I am, but if you don't ask, if you don't ask, you don't get, type of thing. So yes.
Hey, we've been asking all summer, so we might as well keep knocking on that door and hopefully someone answers.
Absolutely, exactly.
Yeah, but I kind of put Barnes in a similar bracket as the way I was talking about Wissa. Like, he's a fantastic player. He's done some fabulous things for us. He just doesn't seem to fit. Like, he plays one position pretty much. He doesn't look great when he plays anywhere else. And he kind of just has one thing. He has one move. Like, his finishing's really good, but his one move is cutting in and scoring that banger that he scores. Whereas that's not really us as a team. Everybody in our team is so multifaceted that he stands out like a sore thumb when it comes to something like that. So upgrading that would be fantastic. If we could get a buyer for Barnes for not even silly money, what, 25, 30?
Yeah.
For some of the money that other players are going for, when you put his numbers together, that's You're not asking for the world. Would do us wonders if we could get someone who would then replace him, that then gives us something a little bit more multifaceted, so that when he plays, we don't then have to move Gordon to somewhere else so that Barnes can play or anything like
I
that.
think Villa were interested in before when they're looking to the swap deal. Obviously, Rashford's left. He said he didn't want to stay there because Villa, because I think it's either Ramsey or Morgan Rogers, but Morgan Rogers is better in the left 8/10 position for them. He's absolutely lethal. That's if they keep him, for instance. Obviously, Chelsea are really looking at Morgan Rogers. But I think Aston Villa would be suicidal to sell him, to be honest.
Mm.
I think Harvey Barnes suits us when people weren't afraid of us and we could have to hit on a target and he'll get that time and space. Now people have another, should I say, healthier respect for us, and they will go into a low block and they will play counter-attacking football. So it makes sense, but we're beyond that now. And that's when you need a Nicholas Jackson, at least a profile of a Nicholas Jackson who's good on the ball, who's press resistant, who can go past the man, who can run in behind, who has the ability to go left or right and link up play and do all of the other stuff, which just to a higher level to Barnes, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I think it's such a difficult deal to turn down for me if you're Eddie Howe. And the player allegedly now, obviously through reports, is saying, "I choose Newcastle." I think it's very difficult to turn that down, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. We do need all of our attacking players to be able to play in the smaller spaces. Even Velkanush, yes, he's more of an attacking midfielder. You could have games where you put him out there and he gives you a different sort of profile of left winger, which then allows Lewis Hall to bomb on a little bit more and use the space that he leaves if he's coming inside to find spaces. So yeah, we do need to be like we've said previously, we went from intensity as our identity to Eddie Howe's adaptable mags. So we need to keep that adaptability. It becomes predictable when you've got a Harvey Barnes. Say you're playing Barnes and Murphy either side, both your wide men are very predictable.
Yeah.
So it takes away from what we're trying to do as a football team.
Yeah.
So changing that would be key. Let's do a couple of chats quickly. This is the first thing I'm going to disagree on in the chat at the minute. As much as I agree, footballing wise, the guy has to stay around in Lascelles for me. He is one of the big leaders in the dressing room. I feel like he keeps some of the guys in check, and he won't be on massive wages anyway. So I don't think it harms us keeping him around. But yes, we do need to get to a position where he's not playing that many games. It's emergency stuff. It's people are dead on their feet coming back from international duty, and we've got an FA Cup game at home against Cambridge or someone for him to come in for. He's going to be key for games like that, I feel. What else have we got? Barnes, good for Everton.
Yes.
Yeah, but they have just got Grealish.
Grealish should be a left 8. Barnes would be a left wing forward.
It would still work.
Yeah.
I think Barnes, for anybody who's not in one of the sides that are going to face low blocks consistently in the Premier League, will still get you mid-range double-figure goals.
Yeah.
Like mid-range teen goals in the Premier League, and it's invaluable. Norden. Oh, that's John. I didn't realize. Sorry, John. I've just looked and realized that that's your surname. So I was just going to ask who you support, but obviously John's another one who's on our channel. He's a Southampton fan.
Brilliant.
Villa may have to sell after missing the Champions League. I was saying that very early on last season that Villa was going to be a fire sale if they didn't hit the Champions League. It doesn't seem to have been that yet. So
just your women's football team. That's what
there you go. They found their workaround. Who is Kenneth Taylor?
Midfielder from Ajax.
Oh, yes. I think we're getting close to that part where we're going to talk about it. I think Philip can see the image I've used for that, but it's not the image that's going out live because can you see the bank on your screen?
No, I can see El Canoes.
El Canoes. Okay, no, it's just my screen is going crazy then, don't worry. You won it, so bro.
Who had him weeping? Lascelles? Was it? You mean Lascelles?
Yeah, I think he must be talking about Lascelles on that. I'm sorry we weren't there to join you in the pain, but I feel he does have his uses, even if they're not on the football field. And then finally, Grealish, Gay, Dewsbury Hall. That is a
Yes.
very solid midfield three.
Yes.
I agree.
Absolutely.
100%. Yes. And Liam's just confirming that he is talking about Jamal. And also on Lascelles, he was one of our leaders when things were going horribly, horribly wrong. And he was punching players to get them back in line and stuff like that. So if he still has attributes that are holding team together when stuff's going wrong, like when Isak comes back into the change room and he has to face up to these guys, like your Burns, your Lascelles. Yeah, that is it. That is it. You have to have these guys around, holding people to account. You need them guys in your side. What are your thoughts on El Canoes, by the way? Because he was the one that I looked at from Leicester when they went down. Every single time I watched them play, I was like, this guy's lively. He can't go into the Championship. He would tear it up. Someone's got to pick him up. And now it's looking like it's potentially us for 25, 30 mil, which I think is great money. Mm-hmm. But what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's a very different profile to what we currently have. And as I was saying in my kind of end of year review last season, the two things we needed to improve on was our goal efficiency. So we created a lot of chances, but could have scored more goals, even though we're not. That's not the baddest problem to have, to be honest. And the other one is offensive impact from the midfield, and that's all that literally means is key passes from the midfield, ability to break lines, somebody able to do that. Now we've got a very athletic and robust midfield, and occasions Mr. Bruno Gomes is able to do those things. But we need to do more of those things, especially when you've got runners of the likes of Gordon, the likes of Elanga, Isak, hopefully. You need someone that's willing, that's got the cojones to make the through ball or to make the key pass or to be smart. He's got a signature reverse ball that he does, El Canoes, where he stands up his player, where he gets the ball, he'll stand up his player, and then there'll be a run, like a third man run being made, and he'll just flick the ball over, and it takes out 2 or 3 players type of thing. Yep. We need that sort of player. We don't have that sort of player. In our
he got an assist. He got an assist from exactly that at the weekend in the Championship as well, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
he's running at the back 4. He's taken a touch to his right, and the guy's made the run there, and he's just chopped it back into the space.
That's his signature move.
Exactly that.
So that's his signature move, and so we just don't have that. We don't have that, and like again, I go back to the Atletico game. You need someone like that, especially when there's a high intensity chest move, or you need someone who can do that and is able to threaten to do that, because that's what keeps the defense and the defensive line really, really worried. Okay, he's on the ball now. What's going to happen? Type of thing. And because of the way, and Eddie likes the type of players, because he's gone through a really hard year with Leicester, where he essentially has been playing in his own half rather than in the opposition half. He's learned to play out from the back a lot better as well. He's very sharp on the ball, pretty decent in terms of being press resistant as well. And he's learned to kind of build up play from the back as well, which is why Eddie Howe loves him. And he can play in the left 8 as well as the right 8. He prefers to play on the left 8, but he can play in the right 8 as well. So it's just more and more options, to be honest. And you can imagine, again, 3rd, 4th round FA Cup, Miley, El Canoes, and maybe a Tonali or Bruno in the middle, or Joe Linton just keeping things ticking over. And that's how we get through into those areas as well. So if we get him, we know what Eddie can do. I think he needs to, bulk up a little bit. He's a little bit, I think, a little bit lightweight. My man Ashmack was saying that as well. He's going to have to get that as well. But he is very hardworking. He's very intense. He's learned to be. He's not one of the people that I think Leicester City fans would say down tools, for instance. He wasn't that guy. So it shows character. It shows strength of character, which is what you're going to need to play for Newcastle. You're going to need that. So there's a lot to say. Yes, overall I'm happy. Overall it makes sense for us. Him, Sung Min, Miley, it's just a really, really bright future, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, I agree with
Fair
that.
points. Even Liam knows his point. He is a little bit lightweight at the minute, but he doesn't. It's not one of them that he needs to like start eating weights or anything like that. He just needs to get a little bit stronger, freshen up his core so he can ride tackles a little bit better, and it
Yeah,
will
just
bring him forward as a player. And
just to
yes,
just
he
to
is more of an eight than
yeah,
an
yeah,
out
yeah,
wide. He's
yeah,
an attacking eight.
yeah. He's an attacking. Yeah. So for me, he's less of a Mahrez. And when I say this, I'm not saying he is this player. I'm not saying he is this player. I'm just thinking of a profile. He's more of a Santi Cazorla for me. For me, I can't think of anybody else at the moment. I'm sure it'll come to me, but he's more of that, or he can develop into that type of
Yeah,
profile.
that's a fantastic shout. To be fair, absolutely fantastic shout. Okay, I've got a few more images to go. This is the image I've been seeing all show. So luckily, I've got another screen which is showing what's going out live, which shows me because the reports have come out today that we are planning a raid on the Serie A. Outside of Malik Chow, we are going in for other players. Names have been thrown out, like the chat said previously. We had Kenneth Taylor was thrown out there. Edison was thrown out there. Amir Richardson was thrown out there, who I would love here, by the way. I watched that guy play, and I think he's going to be something special. If we bring him in, it'd be great. But apparently, we're looking for at least number one from the Italian league. If you could pick your one, Toon, who would you go for? I'm putting you on the spot a bit here, but outside of Malik Tiao, if you had your choice of players, might be easier just to narrow it down to players we've been linked with, whether it's been loosely or heavily. Who would be your pick to bring in from the Italian league if we are actually going to go on a raid?
Yeah, so I think it's very likely to be a mid. I thought it was going to be likely to be a midfielder until El Canoes came along. Hopefully, it means, and I say hopefully, that's been a bit rude, but if it is a midfielder, that means hopefully Joe Willock goes because we need to refreshen it up. Obviously, El Canoes now, so maybe we do get two midfielders. So I think rather than any strikers or forwards, because I don't think we're going to go for. I forgot that gentleman's name. He plays for Fiorentina. I forgot his name now. He played for Everton before.
Oh, Moise Keane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I don't think he'll be him, although he'll be decent. So obviously, folks are mentioning Keteler. I can't pronounce his name very well. Yeah,
that's
so
the one.
yeah, that'll be hell of something. Um, and Edison being the other. But if if the likes of Edison comes, I think he's going into the first team. So you're probably more looking like into an Amir Richardson, but probably it's different. It'll be because they're different players, but it'll probably be between a Keteler and an Edison. And I haven't quite made up my mind which one, because if you get an Edison, you can put Tonali in the left eight where he prefers to play for Italy, for instance, and have Bruno in the right eight, and Edison just loves being that number six. Again, another dynamic,
Yep.
but it's not more of the same. I guess it's like a further development of who we are, like robust, strong, mobile. But if you bring a Keteler, now you've got a real live number 10, which we haven't seen since I don't know when you haven't seen that type of thing. So that'll be really intriguing. So I can't make up my mind which one. I'll go for Keteler just to be risky.
Yeah.
If we could do that, yeah.
To be fair, there's some great shouts here from Wijnaldum again. Hasn't Nico Paz agreed to sign for someone? He was on my list at the start of the window. I think he's agreed on a quite a big move. It might not be this summer. It might be planned in for 12 months down the line. But I think he's agreed to sign for someone. I agree. The Keteler would be the one for me. The way this summer goes, though, it would worry me that we'd do it. The same thing would happen. We'd do all of the homework, do all of the working out, find out fees, figures, and then one of the few clubs that are traditionally bigger than us in the league would just offer a little bit more money both on the fee and the wages and trump us. I feel it's more likely to be a Richardson or an Edison, but like people have said, if I had my choice, it would be De Ketelaere, if you pronounce it how it's said. But yeah, he'd be the one, followed by Edison, third Amir Richardson.
Yeah, have you seen him play, Amir?
I've watched him in 2 games, and the rest of it is based on as I keep saying, the Dennis Wise stuff. But I was impressed in both games, and the way he moves on the ball, his size, his physicality, he seems the perfect Eddie Howe player. It seems like someone we could mold into various different roles, whether it be playing in a left 8, maybe even in a 10 at times. He looks like if he trained enough, he could even just rotate into a 6 now and again. So yeah, I really like the look of him.
Okay.
Very smooth on the ball as well.
Okay.
But if they're right, they're talking positively about us for once. So if they're right on this raid, it's interesting to see who it is we're raiding and who's coming in. So, but do you feel, before we move on to the last few bits, do you feel that now we've done our bit of shooting for the stars, we're just reverting to how we've been operating every other window, where we're signing these players that are kind of next up? No one's really screaming their name, but there's loads of whispers about them. And we're like, okay, we're going to pick up some of these before everybody starts shouting their name, that they're the next guy, they're the guy, they're the guy. And we're going to turn them into the guy when they get it.
Yeah. I think it's too early to tell. If it is the case that we are looking for someone in Italy, we will know if that's the case in terms of what you're saying. So if we go for Emir Richardson, we're going on kind of maybe what your question is, are we kind of going on for the next stop? Then the answer is yes. If we go for an Edison or for Ketelaere, then we're on the same warpath. So hopefully we'll continue. We'll end up on top on that one. So I think, yeah, like I said, I think the next player in, or the next player that we kind of really go for, will tell us a lot. But also in terms of like, if we're looking, at the same time, it's difficult to know because our midfield is hard to improve. So I feel like we are going to go for a next up for our midfield. Your El Canus, your Emir Richardsons, because it's very difficult to top that unless you're really. Yeah, I think we'll know, because I think I'd say to even say weak point of our midfield, it's not really a weak point, it's a different profile, is Joe Linton. Can you improve on a Joe Linton? Okay, how do you improve on a Joe Linton? It would have to be a different profile of player that's elite. You have a different profile in El Canus, but he's raw and a project player. And is it the right time to get someone elite? I don't know. It's difficult. So I'm kind of talking my way around and talking my way in it. But I think it depends on the position. If we tried to get someone elite for the striking areas because we were looking at possibly replacing Isak, or at least having a succession for Isak. We didn't get there. So then we might end up with something different. It's difficult to answer. I think if it's a midfield area, it might be a next up type of situation.
Yeah. I just feel that we're doing that now because where we've tried it previously in the window and it hasn't worked, I think they think we're now running out of time and we still need to do a few deals. So if we take too long on a deal that someone then could come and gazump us, and we've still got a couple of deals to do, I think they're like, right, let's just get the deals done of players that we want still, but they're not the very top of the list. They're like number 2, number 3, so we can just get the deal done and we can develop from within, rather than getting to the end of the window. We've tried to get number one on both lists that's left and ended up with neither, which leaves us in a terrible position.
Right.
It might not be the best way to view it, but I feel like the way the window's gone,
but
they're like, unless we can line up multiple deals at the same time. I think that's what they're going to do.
But do you think, say for instance, Adika Tele, I haven't been following him, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, or even both Katele and Edison actually, I haven't seen big clubs in for them. I don't know why. And maybe I've got that wrong, but I haven't seen it. So therefore, is it a case where other clubs essentially have had their fill, and we do have a sort of free run at them? I don't know. Does that mean we go for them if that's what we're looking for? I don't know.
It could be. If we sign one of them too, the angle that I'm going to use on all of these rival shows going forward is going to be wild, because I'm going to say that we're like I use 4D chess a lot. This is going to be like 92D chess. We've like rope-a-doped everybody to spending all their money so we can get a free run. And that's the angle I'm going to keep running with if we end with one of them signings.
Exactly.
And no one can really argue it, because we're stronger, and we end the window on a massive signing, and it'll be like.
So like Man United, for instance, are going for Belieber, who's going to cost around 100 million plus. And I heard today on the show people justifying that. I think it's wild. Honestly, that's absolutely insane to me. But fine, whatever. And Edison's there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something. I think there's an opportunity for Newcastle to do some stuff. And if you got an opportunity to improve rather than just to add, I still see them kind of tempted to do that, even with 3 weeks left. But they will have to move fast.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like you say, our midfield dynamic, that if as much as you could bring in a player that you would potentially rate higher or put in a similar level to any one of those three, the dynamic between the three in our midfield is a hard thing to switch out and bring someone else in and it still have the same effectiveness. Yeah. So that's a very tough position for us to upgrade on instantly.
Yeah. Exactly. It would take a special player to do that.
Yeah. To be fair, again, Wijnaldum, I flashed these up while we were talking, but some very good points on stuff like this. Hamir Richardson shined under Will Still at Rennes, who we scouted with Ekatike. David Fratesi for Minter, energetic 8/10, scored the winning goal against Barca. To be fair, Ginny, yesterday, the amount of times I've seen you on shows, on this show, other people's shows, and some of your comments, I'd love to have a football conversation with you at some point in time. So if we could make that happen, whether it be on or off stream, that'd be fantastic, because some of your input is either from a different angle or bang on the point of what we're talking about. So if we could make that happen, that'd be great, to be honest with you. Then we've got Liam Knowles. We need Dupes to start his data mining of our buy and sell and diamonds in the rough. Who's Dupes?
Dupes is the new.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's Subs, though. I think his name's Subs.
It's Subs, sure. He's the 1% guy, isn't he? If he can get 1% of this. Yeah. Thoughts on Garnacho, Chelsea. Oh, I don't play whole other ball game to this, actually. Yeah. I've never rated him as a player. I've never rated his sort of attitude. He comes across with the Cristiano Ronaldo attitude long before he's done anything anywhere near them levels. I just don't get him as a character. Yeah. If he said that to Man United, it's wild. But then apparently Amarim said to him in the changing room one time, "You're not good enough, you'll never play for me again." So if he has said that to him directly in front of people, I get it. But he has always come across as a bit of a diva, to be honest. John again, flipping midfielders has been crazy. Saw less Pogs getting flair. If anybody hasn't watched John on our Parliament show on Sunday, some of his analogies and references are just gold. I'm telling you, if you go to the channel and look at some of the shorts, some of the references he comes out with, if you're in the bracket of being born in the 80s or early 90s, you'll love some of them. There you go. We appreciate you for coming on, supporting the show, always giving good input. So thank you very much for that. What's this last one? You don't want characters like yeah. Exactly. Okay. Right. Let's do one last little bit before we go. Has that changed? I can't actually see. Nothing's changed on my screen, which is throwing me off.
There's nothing on the screen, just your background. Oh yeah, Newcastle, Aston Villa.
Yeah, has that come up now? Yeah.
Yeah, Newcastle, Aston Villa's come up.
Okay. Perfect. So next Saturday, 12:30, we play Aston Villa. Early game. We're back into the Premier League. It's annoying that it's away because this is a weird fixture that the last few years feels like whoever's at home wins quite comfortably.
Yeah.
which is frustrating. But what are your thoughts going into our first game of the Premier League on Saturday?
Jeez, I was going to say it's too early, but it's not too early because this literally this Saturday. And I haven't had enough time to see where Aston Villa are in terms of their transfers. I don't know if they've had too many.
They've
Obviously,
basically done nothing. Like Asensio and Rashford have gone, and they've brought in a few players that I don't think anybody would confess to knowing much about. So,
okay.
apart from the front man, they've just brought in a new front man, haven't they? Just had decent murmurs about him.
Okay, do you know the name by any chance?
Let me quickly find it.
Otherwise, obviously, the main threats always are Morgan Rogers and Watkins. In their midfield, I imagine Tielemans, Kamara, and McGinn, who we were linked with.
There you go. I didn't even
Oh
need to
yeah,
search
yeah.
it. The chat, Evan Gusan.
Who we were linked to him as well, actually. And he could be a problem. And I'm surprised because I thought him coming in would mean either Watkins would be leaving, but he's still there. So it's their movement up top that's going to be dangerous for us. But if I see what I saw in the first half of the Atletico Madrid game, I think we'll be good. I don't know if Hall was fit enough to start just yet. So I wonder if Livramento starts on the left with Kieran Trippier on the right. And I would love to see Botman start and probably Botman and Shaw. Though I suspect that Howe will go with Byrne and Shaw. I suspect, but I hope it's not the case. What's my thoughts on it? I think similar to the Atletico Madrid game, it will start off very intense. It's going to be always our front line, and we'll need that first goal. If Villa score in the first 5 minutes, which I don't think they will, but if they do, it's going to be a problem. Or if they score early in the second half, something like that, it's going to be if they score any time, really, it's going to be quite difficult for us to get back into it, I think, at this stage, from what I've seen. But outside of that, I think we've still got the better team. And if with a bit of luck, and that's not the greatest analogy, but in terms of just, I think we can get away with a point if possible. But we need something up top. We need something to really shake up top to be a threat up top. I'm going with the Barnes, Gordon in the middle, Elanga. It would have his uses, but like you said, people know how Barnes play, and Gordon is busy, but it's not his number one position. I wonder if he starts with Osola, but if he can't hold up the ball, that might be problematic. It's going to be a very, very difficult game, is what I think. Essentially,
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Yeah. I'm in a similar boat. It's hard to predict, but the last few seasons, I haven't liked Villa away. Apart from that freak game where Shaw got 2 goals in what seemed like about 2 minutes not long ago, we seem to get beat quite comfortably there, just like they get beat quite comfortably at our place.
Yeah.
We need to have a very solid first 20 minutes and then build into the game from there. But then we need to find a way to create. I think the only thing that will benefit us is that Villa won't play a low block. So if they don't play a low block and we get through the first 20 and we start building into the game, we will find our wide players quite easily to get in behind. I'm quite positive on it. I feel like this could be a 1-1 or a 2-1 to us, is what I'm edging to at the minute.
Okay.
Just because I feel they'll come out and play, and the more the game goes on, the more they'll come out and play, which will then give us our chance to hit them on the counter, hit them on the break, and regardless of who we've got up front, we're always set up to do that. So it'll be interesting. I also hope, based on this, Rodgers, any news on Rodgers knock? No idea, but if Rodgers does play, I hope Hall starts, because I would prefer Tino to be facing up against Rodgers if he's playing off the left for them, rather than it being Trippier. But yeah, I've got a good feeling. I've got a good feeling about it. I would potentially, as much as this is going to be rogue and we've not seen it for Newcastle, I would potentially go Elanga through the middle with Barnes left and Gordon right.
Okay.
I just feel like
they beat Rumour 4-0 on the 6th of August.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so his ankle, Morgan Rodgers' ankle injury is not considered serious.
Oh, okay. I'm guessing they're probably asking the same questions about Anthony Gordon after the way he went off on Saturday as well. So I reckon they're probably in a similar boat.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, John, I don't think we ever go for Watkins now. If I think that ship has sailed for us, and I don't think Aston Villa would even entertain selling to us at the minute, because we're on a similar trajectory. I would say we're slightly ahead of them, but they wouldn't want to strengthen us and weaken themselves in that way at this point in time. So I don't think that's even a goer. There you go. I've called it. Shaft under bastard from 30 yards. So yeah, I reckon it's going to be a very interesting game. But for me, that's everything I had lined up from this evening, to be honest with you, Philip. So I would like to sit here and say thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure as always. It's always good to have good in-depth football chat with you. What would you like to plug before we go, sir?
Always a pleasure to be on your channel, sir. Great show as always. I am on tomorrow, Tuesday at 10 p.m. I'll be hopefully announcing the Malik Chow signing, so we'll be talking about that. Going a lot more kind of in depth in terms of football scouting for reading scouting reports for El Canoes, and if anybody else turns up as well. So do look out for that. Make sure you join us on that. So yeah, a lot of Newcastle related stuff. I'm sure something about Isak will pop up that I've talked about as well. So we'll get straight into it.
Quality stuff. And for those that haven't been on Toon Tactics TV, trust me, check it out. The quality of the scouting reports, if you don't know about players, you will always leave knowing a lot more about the players we've been linked with. So 100%. Even check back past shows, because pretty much every serious looking link, Philip has done a scouting review of them, and it will tell you a lot more about the players. From a Where the Owl Sleep point of view, well, from a personal point of view, I will be on Wednesday, SpursKingsTV, the rival show. Go there. It's always funny, always a good laugh with some good debate thrown in at the same time. But from a Where the Owl Sleep point of view, we have a new show Saturday. So we are going to start doing previews of certain games. So we are going to start with this game, Newcastle Aston Villa. We will be on about an hour before kickoff when the teams come in. We're going to get the tack pad out. We're going to break down the teams that have been picked, try and get the shapes right. And we're going to see the strengths and weaknesses and see what we come up with. This week, it will be me and Stocky that are on the show. But if it works, we'll be alternating that going forward. So about 11:30 Saturday, come and check us out. We're going to try and figure out how the teams are playing and do a little prediction.
Brilliant. Looking forward to that.
Good stuff. Guys in the chat, thank you very much. As always, you make the show so much better when you come and give your insight as well. Makes it flow a lot better. So hopefully see you back more often. But as always, have a lovely evening. Take care, everybody. And thank you again, Philip.
Thank you.